To our Monday Night Memories series. A very, very special guest and a very special week. Tony and Kelly Trent join us. And of course, this is the 5-year anniversary of the Tyler Trent game. It'll forever be known as that, and Purdue's great upset of Ohio State back in 2018. A lot of memories will be flooding back for a lot of people, and especially in the legacy of your son, a great one. And who would have ever imagined the difficulty, but also the beauty of some of this. Just talk about Tony and Kelly, what, kind of what's going through your head this week, because yes, it's a great memory, but it's a difficult memory too.
Yeah. Gosh, there's just so many memories that just flood back into our minds. All the way going back to the day before, not even being able to think that we're coming to the game till the morning we wake up. And I remember Tyler vividly saying, "I feel well enough, I want to go." And then hopping into a special, escort from the Secret Service people, taking us all the way to the game, and then getting out of the car and, of course, carrying out Tyler out of the car, and then everybody just seeing Tyler and yelling for him and saying, "Hey, Tyler," and just all those memories. And of course, going up into the suite and having ESPN follow us, and all the people that even in our neighborhood that was along the street waving to us and wishing us well. And then getting into the stadium and then just feeling the atmosphere of there's something special that's going to happen here.
Yeah.
It was unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. And I felt like in my soul that there was no doubt that we were going to win. And then having everybody chant Tyler's name and just making him feel so special and so loved, going through really, really, really hard, difficult things. It's just the little things that make life feel special. And he would just shake his head in disbelief that people were like yelling for Tyler and chanting "cancer sucks" instead of "IU sucks," which any viewer that's watching this, any viewer that's watching this, let's change that. It's time to find something new. But anyway, I'm off on a tangent. But and just having the whole evening, it feels so special, and seeing Tyler in the locker room. Those are the memories that really, for me, are special and help me every time I go to a game there. I can't think about my son. And sometimes the memories are really hard and difficult. And sometimes they are heartwarming.
Yeah. Kelly, it has to move that line of on both sides of the spectrum. I mean, it clearly is that. It's the beauty of he'll forever know, and his legacy lives on, and that is the most wonderful of things, certainly for Purdue fans. And we're the selfish ones because we're the ones that get to bask in the glow of who Tyler was, but also that magical night. But you had your whole family there. The story of Ethan now coming and playing now for Ryan Walters, an amazing story in its own right.
It is. We feel so blessed. I mean, that Tyler's legacy gets to continue a little bit through Ethan, but now Ethan has his own legacy.
Yeah.
And we're so excited for him, and we can't wait for the day that he starts playing, and if that day ever happens. And just to be on the team is a blessing and an honor for our family to have that happen.
Nate, go ahead. I mean, interrupt there. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about that. The other interesting thing from anytime I see Tom Rinaldi now, Tyler's the first person that I think of. And I think that another interesting aspect of all the things you were talking about, Tony, is that you got the blessing of a great storyteller like him that really has a gift that he got a hold of and was able to cover that story. Maybe your thoughts on Tom Rinaldi's involvement.
Yeah, so we love Tom Rinaldi. We still have a relationship with him. He is a fantastic human being. And, I didn't even know Tom was coming to our house when they came and showed up. I didn't know he was going to be the person that spent time with us. And, Tom has met a lot of different athletes. He still continues to meet a lot of different people. And it was fun to chat about some of those relationships that he has with other athletes. And, I asked him, I said, hey, Tom, who's the person that, has impacted your life the most? And so it was fun to talk about that. And yeah, so he's a great storyteller for sure. I would guess that ESPN misses Tom because game day has not been the same since he left.
But that was go ahead, Kelly.
Well, it's so crazy, like, to think about Tom from the standpoint of, we are sitting in our dining room, and this is where Tyler was when he could no longer do stairs. And, as you asked me that, the first thing I thought of was him just sitting on the end of Tyler's bed like he was anybody else, and, talking with them and chatting with them. And he was just such a genuine, real guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No pretense, none of that.
No.
Yeah, I've never seen a piece come out more oozing of, the difficulty of the situation and understood, but just the way that the humanity of on both sides, your family, David Blau, all the way to Tom Rinaldi and telling the story and the just they'll never be I know it won awards that year, but you'll never see a better feature.
And it won Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk Herbstreit has the Herbie Moments of the year. Yeah. It won the Herbie Moment of the year, and it was just. And then other relationships that have spawned out from Tom Rinaldi at ESPN. There's other people that have reached out, and we continue to talk to. So.
Yeah, Scott.
And he, not only to say that he's a really gifted storyteller, but I believe he also has an amazing voice.
Yeah,
he does.
It goes well with that.
It does. It just all fit so perfectly from that standpoint. Was just something from that. All right, you go to a game like that, and nobody. And of course, this year, it may take a similar miracle for Purdue to be pulled out this year, but no one will ever doubt it after 2018 because Purdue is almost the identical underdog, I believe in 2018 as it is this weekend, plus or minus a couple of points, and that doesn't matter in the grand scope. But the beauty of belief, and you guys have lived that, through the upset book and having the courage through the most difficult of times that any parent could imagine, any human can imagine, to be able to put that together. Talk about, the fact that book, The Upset, which I think everybody in Purdue land has read. If they haven't, they should. But just talk about the kind of being able to gather yourselves in this difficulty and know that maybe there's a greater thing down the road in terms of at least a legacy that you can bring. Talk about how all that has come together and how that continues to thrive.
Yeah, Tyler had just wrote an excerpt on Facebook, and I think he was maybe like 15, 16 years old, and he had ended it from a book I'll probably never write. And then, of course, as we all know, the story started to take place, and we realized, especially as it was getting towards the end, that if we were going to make this happen, we really needed to do it quickly. But just what we had, like what story and what had happened was so beyond us. Yeah. And I still can't believe it, but to be able to put it on pen and paper and to talk about it is helpful. Yeah. So it was just that we can have it out there, that it leaves a legacy in and of itself, because it's always there. But even for us as parents, part of the healing process that comes through that.
Yeah. And I think about Tyler's dream was to, and actually it's one of the, like Kelly mentioned in the excerpt that he wrote when he was, I believe, 15 years old. It is a whole section unedited. It's the dreams section in the end of the book. I absolutely think it's the best thing he's ever written.
Yeah.
And he wanted to tell the world of his story to bring awareness to cancer research, because as you probably know, I mean, the technology, the treatment is 30, 50 years old.
Yeah.
And it's really created for adults. And so, and one of his quotes, I just found this, I want to share it with you.
Please do.
He said, not all of us have the knowledge to cure diseases, but we can donate to the people who do.
Yeah. And
that is so on the mark of who Tyler was and what he wanted for humanity and for other kids. He did not want other kids and other families to go through what we had to go through. And so part of that is the book. And, we donated 30 grand from the book sales.
Yeah.
And ironically, it's really interesting. A lot of people don't know that he has a book. It's really interesting. Like, I will have a conversation with people. They'll find out who we are, or we're at an event talking about cancer research, and they don't even know that he has a book. So I think part of the reason why is that we just had to get it out so quickly. We had to publish it ourselves, but it would have been a New York Times bestseller if we would have gone with traditional publishing.
Yeah.
And it's won like 3 or 4 awards. So
I think what one of the most heartwarming things about the whole thing for me is that Tyler knew before he passed away that he didn't see the completed book, but he knew it was happening. You got to see the cover. And just to know that he knew that it was going to happen prior to his death brings a lot of comfort.
We'll put links to that as well. And yes, as a proud goldenblack.com intern as well, which we and the thing that was interesting about Tyler too, and there was some, when you talk about the fact that there wasn't as much research, at the time for kids his age that were dealing with this, there was it didn't make him happy. I mean, he didn't like that. And I remember talking to him about that and saying he was writing something for us because we had him do a blog for a period of time, and expressing that anger is maybe not quite the right word, but there was, it wasn't, he wanted that to change. And I think that made him also extra special in my book, because he brought that, why would anybody that was dealing with what he was having to deal with outside of his faith and everything else, you're not happy about, there's nothing great, there's a lot to deal with here. And I thought the fact that he expressed that really did turn some people's heads to look at this. And I think that's an extremely important part of that.
Yeah. And one other thing, if I may add to Alan, he also so the traditional way to donate your tumors in the hospital was that they took it and you became a number. And Tyler said, no, I want my name on it.
Yeah.
And what happened, he didn't realize this, but what happened is now the doctors have identified whose tumor this is. And they have a relationship now with the patient rather than just be a number. And he has spurred other kids on all over the country now to donate their tumors in their name, because they would have never thought about donating tumors. They would have just gone on and either cured it or passed away without any tumor to do a research with. Yeah. And so we encourage families to donate their tumors because it's going to take everybody to come up with the cure. Not only if you're donating financially, but also for the parents or the kids or whoever that needs to donate. So.
Well, and even alongside that, because the researchers knew who Tyler was, we then got to meet them and know them and form relationships that are still ongoing. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler's picture hangs downtown in the research wing of the hospital, and we have doctors that tell us every day they walk by, they see Tyler's picture. It motivates them to do something about it.
That's a great thing.
I wanted to ask you about the golf outing. This was my first time at your golf outing down at Bridgewater Club in Westfield this year. In fact, one of the neater people, a foursome that came through that we got to meet was a group from Boston that's working with, some of the things that Tyler left them. And I was just thinking about, that as that golf outing grows, we want to know, one, how people can get connected with you and support that. But I think about Tyler, I think about like Jim Valvano, that Tyler's story, his legacy story, is still being written. And look at like something like the V Foundation has done in the decades since, and that Tyler's name could very likely be attached to huge advances in the decades ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if people want to get involved, they can go to our website, tylertrentfoundation.com. And it's going to happen. We already have a date for it. It's June 10th. I won't be at Bridgewater again. It'll be at the Sagamore Club in Noblesville. And if they want to get involved, we would love to either like volunteer, play. It fills up really quick. So, if you want to play, you better register really quickly. But, you want to donate an item for auction. We've had people like say, oh, I have this in my basement. It's a framed sporting thing. And you know what? I just don't need that anymore. If I could benefit a family with this, I'm going to. And so we've had people donate their helicopter to fly the special trip all the way up, into Notre Dame, South Bend, watch a Notre Dame. There's we have U.S. Open game or golf outings you can buy tickets to. So there's all kinds of things that people donate. The goal is getting the Masters ticket.
Yeah. Okay. We got to work on that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's how you can get involved.
Well, and it's just another avenue where you see the generosity of people. Like, I feel like through the whole story of Tyler, you see that from the beginning to the end, that people want to help. They want to encourage. They want to support. They want to have something that they feel passionate about. And this was just a story, I think, that gave people the opportunity to do that. And we definitely see that come out with the golf outing.
For sure.
Yeah, no question. That's been a huge part. It's Hammer Down Cancer Weekend also, the Purdue Cancer Institute, a big player. And you have another outing up here that Jim Vrujik and the National Football Foundation puts together. Yeah. And I think the thing that's impressive about the two of you is you keep going and you keep doing, and it's driven by the two of you. And I think that's a wonderful legacy, but not an easy legacy. I'm certain, but it's impressive. And I think that has a lot to do with why people want to be part, because you're not afraid to talk about the difficulty and what that's like, but also to understand that there is a divine beauty. There is a beauty to something that you can do about what has transpired and what will continue to transpire. Now I have to ask you, because Jeff Brom's off to a 6-0 start, and you have to be happy for him and what he's doing but his involvement, and of course the iconic pictures of him with Jeff in the locker room and with David Blau, but also my favorite picture, and Nate and I see it every week when we up at the football press box. It's right behind the radio booth. In fact, the Tyler thumbs up. We'll be running a gallery of those pictures. Some great images from that night. But you also now have come to know Ryan Walters, and you have a son that's playing. But talk about the role of leaders and coaches and what they do and what it means from Jeff Brom and his staff, and even to Ryan and their staff. And Ryan even said today, this is an important week. Hammer Down Cancer is an important emotional week. He'll be talking to his team tomorrow about why, and remind them, because not many of them weren't here in 2018.
Yeah,
right.
Most of them weren't here. So talk about that, and talk about those two guys and what they mean to you.
Well, I learned something through this journey, and I think the important journey, or the important lesson that I learned, and really would want to encourage, and I think really Ryan has done a fantastic job with this, is it's not just about football.
Yeah.
Right. Because they have go out and play the game, but what you do off the field is important, and maybe even more important. And so I think that is where really the impact happens. But of course, you have to win to even have the greater impact, right? But I've learned that through this process that you know, I know these guys have a ton of pressure on them, and they have a never-ending job. But taking the few minutes just to either, like Ryan did, coming down to be a part of our golf outing, you know, and just doing that means the world to us. And people see that. And I think it spurs on even great fanship of, you know, he sees them doing that and like, oh, well, this is, you know, Purdue's doing that. That's special. I want my kid to go there. And really, Purdue does a fantastic job at that. And so that's, you know, I don't know, Kelly, you have anything to add to that?
No, I would just say, yeah, he is, as far as Ryan Walters goes, we really appreciate he wants to have relationships. He's about relationships, and he's relational, and that comes, like when I talk to Ethan or I talk to some of the other kids, you hear that come through. They may not say it like that, but you can sense that that's what it's from. And then, you know, with Jeff Brom, I still can't believe really the whole thing started with that picture, you know, when Tyler and Josh Seals were camping out for I think it was who were we playing? I'm not sure who we were playing, but that first home game or whatever. And
well, it was leading into the 17 season or the 18.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Mike Carmen, who's writing the story, was really one of the ones that broke the story too.
Exactly. Right. So I feel like, between Mike, we give him credit a lot because he is the one who,
and he's the last guy that would take credit for anything. But
we love Mike. Yeah, he's been very good to our family. But and Jeff was great. And again, the whole story, I just see things like pieces of a puzzle that were being put together to form the story, and each player in that, I mean, you can just see it woven through.
Yeah. I think
go ahead.
No, I was going to add one more thing. You know, if Brom didn't take the moment to go out and say hi to them, you know, where would the story be? You know, and it's just little pieces, like Kelly said, that just add up.
I think I'll give Jeff Brom and Mike Carmen a lot of credit, but knowing Tyler, that story would have been told. The Tyler that we all loved and love still is that guy. He could tell you what he thought. He didn't really care. He was. Don't get me wrong. Now, you raised him well, and he was respectful, but he'd tell you what he thought.
Oh, for sure.
And with mince no words. And I learned a thing or two in my encounters with him. But Nate, time for one more question. Go ahead.
Sure. I just wanted to share. Alan and I are involved every year here locally with the Joe Tiller chapter, the National Football Foundation banquet, and we have this, the Tyler Trent Award now for that. And I think I've seen you at several of those, and it's just been fun to get to know some of these winners of that award and their challenges, and how, be reflected through, I think it's the president's office, right, that helps make that selection.
Right.
How Tyler's legacy continues in shining a light on some of the challenges of others, and how he's been an inspiration to Purdue. And that award really, I want to get your thoughts on how that just kind of keeps his legacy going.
Oh, for sure. When I think about that award, it doesn't get talked about a lot, but I would guess that it would be one of the things that Tyler would be most proud of, that would mean the most to him, in that whole giving back spirit that he had. And, it's been great for us to be able to meet the recipients of it. And, families who go through hard things, they understand each other maybe more than others. There's a depth you can't get to in life without going through hard things. And so it's been good.
Yeah, I wish that like Kelly said, I wish there could be a little bit more press around it, because these kids are so deserving of that award. I mean, we know we had a child that not only had cancer but then became handicapped.
Yeah.
And so we can totally relate to the families that go through some super hard, challenging things. And, our heart just goes out to them. Our heart goes out to them.
No question. And it's the definition of most of us cannot walk in your shoes, and yet you walk beautifully in them, and that is the truest thing. All right, so that we at least have it now. We've got to roll then at Golden Black to do a better job promoting that next year, because it is a story that is just so important to the world, but also certainly to Purdue fans, and I think Purdue folks are a generous lot. And he said, Tony, you were telling me this afternoon, it's been north of nearly $4 million have been raised all told. And that's and understood that that's just part of the story here. That's not the whole story. Right. There's a lot of other pieces to Tyler's legacy. The legacy of the Tyler Trent gate, they've moved it down to the south end, and they're sitting, and it's great where it's down there, the southeast corner of Ross-Ade Stadium, all part of the story of Tyler Trent and the Trent family. So guys, thanks so much for your time. A reminder then, hammer down cancer this week. I think Tyler from heaven is guaranteeing a Purdue win. Sure, why not?
We'll see.
But at least it will be a great memory and something that I think Purdue fans will never forget, and that's an important thing for so many reasons. So, guys, thanks so much for taking the time. I know you're going to have a busy week and of bittersweet memories of that time, but we're grateful for the time that you took to join us tonight. So we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me so long.
All right, guys. All right, we appreciate it again, and we will look forward to talking to you. We'll probably see you. Probably might see you on Saturday at some point in time.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward. Purdue needs help on the offensive line. Ethan's going to have a chance someday, and we're looking forward.
I know they need to get him up there, put him in.
One step at a time. I know, but that will be a great thing as well. So, guys, have a great rest of your week, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.